Hello and welcome everyone to Deconstructing the Construct episode 14. Sorry I missed last week, but it was my birthday and I had the day off. It has been obviously an eventful couple of weeks, energetically, politically, globally. It's been a little bit crazy. The stuff that has been personal and obviously therefore kind of profound, I would have to go back to last Wednesday, actually. Every Wednesday I do a call with the LMH members. And I left that call, or towards the end of that call, there was one of those moments where you feel like you're getting pulled in. And something that I found initially quite disturbing happened. I was surrounded by Draco energy, by individual Dracos. And, no, not surrounded. They presented in front of me, would be more accurate. I knew they were Draco. There was no question of that in my mind at the time. And then I saw their hearts. Heart-sourced, heart-activated, shining very, very brightly Dracos, which sent me for a loop. A big loop. And I questioned what I was seeing, absolutely, repeatedly. I thought I must have had it wrong. They weren't Dracos, but no, they were. Was it a trick? And I think I've been a bit cryptic about it, but at least on this show. But I know I've mentioned that items of manipulation and relics have started to be returned to humanity. There is a crystal chest that these items are being returned and put into. And when these Dracos approached, I knew they were there to give something back. Now, you've got to put this back into bigger context of some of the stuff that we've already talked about, which is that based on the experiences and memories of quite a few, we know that they were given a 3.5 year ultimatum. And that 3.5 years was up in June, TikTok time recently. The ultimatum was to leave. You had 3.5 years to leave. If you stayed, you had a choice to either step up and operate from heart, or you would be returned to source. When that ultimatum was given 3.5 years ago, just over, apparently half of them left right there and then. And of the thousands that stayed, I saw about 30, 32 maybe. They had 12 months to make their decision. What looks like happened was this small group, at least, had made a decision in that first 12 months. But something must have happened recently that allowed them to step forward and make that choice known. Whether it was now safe for them to do so or something, I'm not sure. This was a very intense thing to witness. the Dracos specifically, Arca, were given the ultimatum. I did not expect to see from us, from humans, from those of us caught inside the construct. I didn't expect to see this at all. And I was, like I said, questioning it and second guessing it the whole way. And unlike anything that had been returned, this was personal. This was a piece of them that they were handing over. The first wave, there was 11. And then there was a second wave stood behind them that was about 20, 21, maybe 22 in that second wave. And they each stood there with these incredibly bright, shining hearts. And they each held a sphere, a small sphere about so big, that looked a bit different colours for each one. I did think it could be a Trojan horse, yes. I really was not comfortable. I was quite sceptical. And they felt that. What I felt from them was their guilt, their remorse, and their hearts. And the thing that got me the most was their humility. Not something I've ever experienced from a Draco before, ever. Humility is not something they do. And there was a great deal of, there was fear there, because in handing over these spheres contained their memories, the data on a lot of things that they have personally done and collectively done, because I felt the sense of the hive mind with the Dracos. And that by handing this over, they were relinquishing, essentially, their connection to their own kind, to the Draco consciousness. They were making a choice to evolve. Who's losing their shit?
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Okay, what's everyone's problem? Yes. Like I said, this is a handful. This was like 30 out of thousands. This is not them en masse. This is not them as a species. This is just a handful. What I got was they made a choice as individuals to evolve as beings, to operate from their heart, to disconnect from the whole, almost from their species, essentially, is what it felt like. They were stepping into the unknown, stepping and disconnecting. So when they handed over these spheres, all of that was contained in these spheres. I tested it with the first one and allowed them to put a sphere into the chest, and I watched what happened. And the chest sort of, the energy of it, it sort of scans and then transmutes. And so I would imagine that those Dracos who have not made that choice would be very nervous right now, because there was a lot of information, a lot of data in there that is now known. Yeah, I guess so, Adele. Borgs when a group decided to leave the home. So I don't want anyone leaving here confused. So if you want to put your hand up and ask me a question about this specifically, then please do. If you've got any concerns or questions. But like I said, this is not saying that the Dracos as a whole have changed their tune. They have not. This is literally a handful of beings. And I'm the first one to say, fuck the whole, you're forgiven and you're just our partners in contrast, and no, I'm not going there. So this was a surprise.
And shook you up.
And it did. It left me shaken for several days. No, apparently at the 3.5 years ago, when that ultimatum was given, about half of them left. And the half that stayed, that's still in the thousands. Like I said, about 30 that I know of have made that choice that I saw. Okay. What explains the growling you keep hearing at night? Oh, that they aren't all gone. No, I don't think they're all gone at all. No. And some will be arrogant assholes until the very end. Some of them have no concept that they are not going to win this. So your reactions were similar to mine. I didn't trust what I was seeing. And I tested it again and again. And all I kept getting was how genuine this was. And I actually ended up feeling compassion. And I don't think that would have been possible had there not been a genuine heart there on their end. Well, Jill, I don't think they can.
Yeah, no, the Draco can't even fake that.
They can't fake a heart, not like that. And I don't think they can wipe us out, because from what I understand, we are in this space that we are in is the copy that we created, which is why things are not going the way had they been able to do all of that, I don't think many of us would be here now. Even looking back at what we saw around CERN, CERN, from what I understand, was created for all of the conspiracy theory reasons you've heard, to open up portals to dimensions to hell and bring in all kinds of... But once it gets here, it goes poof, because it just can't exist in the frequency of this copy that we created. What do we do with this new info? I have no idea as yet, other than it's made me how do I put it? I mean, maybe using the Borg from Star Trek is a good analogy. I mean, I don't want to, what's the word? How do you explain this? I'm not serving my own growth, my own being by stepping out of my own heart. And if somebody, regardless of what they've done, and they've done some horrific shit, if they're a heart source being and they're making a conscious choice, I mean, it's not up to me what happens to them. I don't know what happens to them. They left, stage left, and I don't know where they're gone. I don't know what the repercussions are for them of what they've done. It's not my call, and I don't really want to know, to be honest. But all I know is that those individuals made a choice to be better, to do better, to evolve, to grow, to live in their hearts. And I also got that having made that choice, there's already so much pain and remorse for what they've done. I don't know. Like I said, came in that way, left stage left. So that's that. And I don't know if what happened to them. I don't know what happens now for them, and I don't know how that may or may not show up. You know, I really don't know. But I do know that the information that they were carrying is now known to us. And that's probably making the other ones a little bit nervous. And that's, I think, all I've got on that one. That was Wednesday. Thursday, any more information about the spheres, information in them? They were, like I said, they were full of data on the things they have done, the things they are planning. It's sort of like, it is like taking a piece of the Borg hive mind, because it's a holographic, one aspect knows all sort of thing. So each one contained all of that information, plus personal, plus their connection to the Draco, to the hive on a personal level. Yes, I believe so, Janine. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, this is all Australian time, obviously, Thursday evening. A new energy came in and grounded, quite literally grounded, and very intensely so. It was, if like, again, we're looking at it as a construct programs, it was like a new program, the next upgrade was written in, and it's the new construct, it's home construct, it's whatever we want to, the pink, bloody whatever we're calling it. It came from that. It's the new frequency, and it came in and it became physical. It grounded into the physical, into 3D. There was, as it was doing so, there was actually, on the energetic, lightning was seen. So in real time, we had a look at a worldwide lightning map, and there was some really weird lightning storms going on that had nothing to, not associated with any other weather patterns or weather storms, just lightning. Mostly over Europe, across a certain path in America, and off the coast here of New South Wales. Just over there. And then, so that was interesting, because it was everything that was seen in the energetic, we were actually able to see in real time on some of these maps. Because there was lightning, there was also, the earth was shaking. And I did notice on Facebook a couple of people talking about, weird lightning, here we go. Sideways lightning and bursts of lightning like balls. And I did see quite a few stories like that. So this new frequency, this new energy is from home, and it seems to be around creativity and manifestation. If I've got that right. There's, can't remember if that, was there colour involved? I can't remember.
What's that?
Was there colour involved? I can't remember.
With the new, it was first of all that silver and pearl.
Silver, pearl and diamond.
Yeah.
Okay. You're on it, Amber. Yes. The woman's obsessed with her vacuum cleaner. So diamond and pearl. Okay, they were the colours. It was very much toroidal, but it was flat, kind of, and just came in and really grounded. So this was on, dates-wise, this was last Thursday, my time. So I don't know what date that was. 27th, my time. Yeah, because Tuesday would have been the 25th. She can start at 6:30 sometimes. So who witnessed this lightning last week, and B, who has felt the need to be more creative, do something creatively, express themselves, just get in the, whatever that looks like, since then? Just sore and tired. Yeah, more creative, please and thank you. Made a pink and green heart code blanket. Nice. The lightning, yes. Painting a lot. Even sold a few. Congrats. Feeling creative, yes, yes. Yes, been making things for my granddaughter who's on the way. Nice. Yes, feeling creative. Planning my next garden. Working on YouTube videos with music and pictures. Awesome. Seen lightning without storms and creative. Making a zen space in the yard. Nice. Okay, so there's a bit of that going on. Nesting and healing. Okay, cool. There's, let me see if he's here. No. Oh, yeah. John, on your iPhone, because you often come in with bits and pieces of confirmation.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Okay, so what was the question?
You often come in with confirmation for me. So I was just wondering whether this new energy, did you feel that? Did you see any lightning? Did you feel
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
You did?
I felt it like a Mack truck, jeez. Wednesday, it was, when was it? Okay, so Wednesday night when I was trying to go to sleep that evening, which would have been like after midnight Eastern Standard Time, my time, which would have been your Thursday, exactly. All of a sudden I got hit with this wave of, it wasn't exactly vertigo, but it was just like everything felt like it was spinning, and it was kind of like nausea, but it wasn't exactly nausea, and my head felt like it was under a pressure cooker, and it was that constant for an hour. And I mean, every crystal I picked up didn't work, everything I tried didn't work, every essential oil I sniffed didn't work, like nothing was, it was just coming. So I rode that out, and for the rest of the week, there were just little kind of bursts of this vertigo-y kind of feeling. And for the rest of the week also, when I would sit outside at night, there was just constant flashes of light all week. And even my neighbors, when we would sit outside together, they noticed it as well. And there was no thunder that would accompany it, but it was clear night, cloudy night, just constant little flashes of light. And things kind of energetically peaked until I would say yesterday. And then last night I had a crazy dream where someone broke into my house with a shotgun, and they were trying to have one out with me. And I don't really have dreams that are like real dreams like that. It's usually just random piles of shit that I can't make sense of. But this was, a real experience dream. And he was telling me, all the different reasons why he was going to take me out, and this, that, the other. And I tried to kick the shotgun out of his hand, and he reacted by just shooting me right in the hip. And I mean, I saw it, I felt it. It was so gory and gruesome. But I got through it. I lived. For whatever reason, he left. I don't know. And then the next thing I know, he came back and he tried to get me again, but it was another situation where nothing really happened, and I moved on. And then it ended with me eating my favorite food, so I took that as a good omen. And I woke up today and I felt like myself again for the first time since that doing, with the Blue Dome and all of that. And then today I finally listened to the first part of what I guess would be Friday's call for you, or Thursday's call, I'm not sure. And was participating in that, trying to visualize the same thing with the Vatican call. No, I'm sorry. I listened to the first part of it on Saturday evening, my time, which would be Sunday your time, and just kind of visualizing around these different cities that we were working with, kind of like a cyclone wall surrounding it, so that nothing could really get out, but also like a little kind of white spark in the middle of it where everything just kind of got sucked back to source. That was, wicked. So you have Vatican City, you have Singapore, all of those places that are just, nasty to the core, where it's like, what can you even do? And just kind of visualize, almost like a black hole opening up that would just kind of suck everything away, but just this like force field cyclone around it that just blocked it all in. And there were tons of confirmations from the doing that we had done Tuesday, just in terms of things that I noticed in like little nuanced conversations with people, as well as news media pieces that had come out. But I feel good. I feel like, they tried to come at us and take us with something, but none of it worked. So.
Well, it's interesting you talk about the dream, because Aaron's brother also had a dream where a guy came in and shot him over and over again. And I'm wondering whether anybody else has had that. And do you remember what this guy looked like?
I do remember what he looked like. He looked like I would say he was in his late 40s, early 50s. Heavy set, not heavy set, but like a stockier, older guy. He was wearing glasses. He was bald but had hair on the sides and just had like a smug kind of energy that was just very like a nose up kind of energy. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was very much so like that.
Arrogant.
And arrogant, exactly, very arrogant. That was that. And when he came back to get me the second time, he came back in like a tricked out Mercedes. So it was very like that kind of energy.
Where were you when, like, in your dream? Was this always happening at home for you?
It was in my childhood home. So not the home that I live in now, but the home that I grew up in. And I remember when we had that conversation, I think it was Z that had mentioned on a members call about feeling like he transported to his childhood home and things like that. And I always felt like, because if I close my eyes, I can visualize my childhood home down to like the finest detail. And that really helps in terms of like connecting time and space, because you can visualize it to the bone. So it's like if I wanted to, yeah.
You're going to laugh.
But
because Jake is also a volunteer, who I believe you are too, and he does the same thing. He goes back to his childhood home and back to his childhood, and from there he goes wherever he needs to go. And a lot of things happen back in that environment.
And
yeah.
With false and true memories in that space, in the childhood space.
Do you ever experience what you would think of as false memories when you go back, if you go back there?
Well, I mean, every time I have a dream that's back in that space, obviously those aren't things like no one shot me in the hip in real life, thank goodness. But I spent 20 years of my life there, so obviously there was a lot that happened there. But I do feel like it can be a nexus point, because if I wanted to access any point in that 20-year stretch, that would obviously be a great point to kind of spring out from.
Hang on, Donna's having a moment in the background, so I don't know what that is.
But yeah, I know she's trying to time travel or whatever, or teleport, so maybe that's a start.
Say that again?
Because when, like,
Can you
sliding doors.
Sliding doors, she's saying.
Sliding doors, right? So you start from your childhood, you haven't taken the timelines at that stage. You've only got a few branches. The more time that goes on and the older you get, the much wider branches. So if you want to travel down a timeline, the most efficient route would be go back to your childhood, and from one of those branches follow a strong line through.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did, and I agree with that completely, because especially if we're in no time, there's no time, no space, that would just be a great jumping off point, because what's creating our reality is what we're visualizing. So if you can visualize something that well, like for example, if I wanted to jump to, I don't know, someplace like Egypt, for example, I don't really have a tangible memory of Egypt. I would have to make it up as I go, or it would have to be something that I didn't experience firsthand, just things that I've accumulated. Whereas that's real, that's genuine. There's so much, kind of emotional energy there, that it's like, if you wanted to affect that particular now moment, it would make sense that it's like, that's kind of where you would operate from. And then go out and do your busy work. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. Is there anything else that you want to bring to the table while we've got you?
Well, there was a very heavy push inside of me emotionally this week to consider kind of giving up, in terms of just kind of washing my hands of this and potentially jumping back into the matrix, or just going for the easy life, because of course that's what everyone around me is telling me to do. That, oh, you think too much, this is your problem, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, we've all kind of hit that point where it's like, I can't unknow the things that I know. But in the same respect, it's like, do I want to know more? And it's like, where is this kind of going? But like I said, after the dream that I had last night, I woke up today and that kind of washed off of me. So, that heavy doubt that started, I would say, after the doing, it kind of built, and then it hit a fever pitch yesterday. And it was just slapping me in the face every other minute.
I think all of us, like, Toolist just said, past the point of no return.
Oh, yeah. We're in a little too deep now. So no normalcy for me, unfortunately, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Everyone was warned. You jumped this crazy train. That's it.
Right. Well, did the date jump up yet for us breaking into a new timeline? Because I know Peter was counting the date and it was coming closer. So it's like my patience is let's go anywhere. I don't even care what it is.
Well, actually, Curtis might be here. I don't know if Peter is, but Curtis might be here and have an update on that one. Curtis, do you know what the date is for that?
Let's grab the book. 1 second.
Okay.
Peter we both came to similar dates that were around the same time, but they weren't obviously exact. Like maybe like a day before or a day after. But I did post on the LMH about some dates. I can't remember what order, but I think around 25th to 26th, and Peter got around the 23rd, maybe 24th, for the upgrade to home's frequency. So obviously there was energy waves before that, so to speak, of getting a taster, I suppose, of like preparing us before we upgrade to that frequency. I think I posted about certain dates where, you know, we'd get into that more creative space. We want to connect more with the outside, with each other more, where we'd come together more, feel the need to come together as one. But it seemed that the 25th and 26th personally was quite a big jump. I did post there that I kind of got a feeling to energy, and it was very clean, very fresh. It was very open. It was very, I think I explained it as, I didn't post this on the chat, but when you go in front of a tall building and you're just standing where the doors are, like a huge tall building, and you look up and you just feel so small, but you know it's so big. That feeling of it's just everything is so big and so wide, and it's just you just standing there. I feel like there's all this open space. There's no suppression. There's no feeling of being really enclosed. I guess was the feeling more there, clean and fresh, and just easy to connect with every single object and everyone around you. So that's the dates that I got anyway personally. But I think Peter did post maybe on the LMH as well.
Okay, I'll go back and have a look.
That's great, thank you.
Thanks, Dylan. There was a video that came out a few days ago that I watched, which was a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. She puts out videos every now and then when I guess when a theme shows up. And she talked about two clients. One was on the 1st of June and one was since then. And both of them went to a place where they said it was a new world. And what, in the first one, he actually did refer to it as the new earth. And in the first one, he called himself a tender. He was tending to the new construct and tending to the nature and getting it ready for higher forms of life. And then usually, and with quantum hypnosis as well, you sort of keep taking people forward to a significant event. So the next significant event was the children had arrived. And the theme, I'm paraphrasing, it's a great video. I will post it with the archive of this. But essentially, what they were both seeing was the transition from where we are now to the new construct and how that played out. And it happened in waves. And we've often sort of speculated or talked about whether or not we would have all our memories, and this goes into something else I want to talk about, when all this is done. And one of them described it as, when the first wave came, there was the old construct was no longer the same, because all of the most heart-based people had left. So the world got pretty ugly for a while. But they remembered us. They remembered the first wave that left. And it took a while for them, for those left behind, to realise that all these people that left had something in common. And what was that? And it was who they were and how they behaved and how they lived, and that helped shift them to start doing the same, which is what allowed them to become part of the second wave, so to speak. And also those who were in the first wave remembered and were sad for those who didn't come yet. So anyway, they're pretty interesting, and very, very similar stories. Which brings me to the subject of spirit and soul, because it just keeps coming up. On this show weeks ago, showed a graphic of the construct, the blue cube, and it's got these wires around it. And we've talked about the frequency fences that have divided it up as well as surrounded, and used the term Faraday cage. Where I'm sitting in my understanding right in this moment, which is always subject to change, is that what we call spirit is our true essence. It is who we are. The term soul, I think, is part of the rinse and repeat. It's an implant or a program or an overlay or some whatever piece of tech that I don't know, that is there only for that lifetime. It's inserted. It acts like a recorder to record that lifetime, and it is removed, taken back, whatever, at the end of each lifetime. And that's where it acts like a hard drive and just stores all that info, and that info is then removed and then stored, and that's where they get our stories, our creativity, our narratives, our...
Well, not just that, it allows them to give us the next life based on the last one. So we feel like we have a flow, but in reality, it is the inserted program, the inserted personality that you really aren't.
Yes.
Which is why all of us for so many years had to figure out who we really were, what our truth really was, and what, even you said it last year, you had to get your head around it and know, who am I? Like, remember that time last year you were going through the after question, everything, who I am as a person, my idea as Lisa as a personality. Even.
Oh, yeah, but I go through that existential crisis every couple of years.
But I think that's part of it, because every couple of years we do have to check while the programs are running.
Yeah, people can't hear you very well when you're sitting over there. Is it even possible if all these souls, what we call souls, or even just hard drive recorders, you know, sitting up there on a shelf somewhere, and it's not even so that they can create a continuation for our story. It might be, we might be given somebody else's story.
Oh, that's even better, Lisa. That rings even true. Swap that shit around. Confusion much?
No, but it's all the data that's imprinted, you know.
Yeah, it's just a library of data. But what if, you know, and we have the life review, and you're told that, you know, you have to go back in now and do this based on that. But how do we even know that that was our story?
That's right.
It may not have been.
What about the fact you didn't fit into your family, or you had an alcoholic dad and you didn't deal with it? Well, what if that wasn't even your dad? What if that was a bot? Then really, would you have, would your real father, your real father, have had those problems? Would you then have to work through?
Interesting.
Interesting.
I don't know, that just hit me. Anyway, I don't know. I have to sit with that one. But it just feels like right now there's just this library of data and they can just fucking pick and choose and yeah, you can do that story now. And that's what's been going on until recently. But to me that there's a bigger picture here. So we've got the cube with the Faraday cage. And we do have people who are still waking up at home or having experiences of being at home, and whether they're in a pod or otherwise, and it feels like they are so ready, they could just wake up, and they're not being allowed to. Why is that? Is it because this Faraday cage is still there? The last layer, the last frequency fence. And if you were to go through that, would it just kind of shatter you? Would it split you? On a quantum holographic. Because it does feel like there's only one layer left between us and waking up. I think we are working on that from the inside, as well as this new home frequency coming in. That's being worked on from both sides, but it's I don't know whether you guys say this anywhere else, but we say things like, it's a bee's dick away. It's so close, and it feels like just one layer left. No, but I will say it now. Can anyone else either confirm that one or give me something else? But I think we are down to the one layer. Okay. Your dog's confirming it. Yeah, well, it might only be one left, but it feels like it's a doozy. And this energy that was felt last Thursday coming in, there's going to be more of those. I think we're very close to many starting to have what we call Shah moments with the overlays. The two realities just playing out right in front of you. And I think it's time. I really do think it's time for us to start living as if we are already there. And this means being creative, using your imagination and living in your heart. We've got to be, I know it's hard. But we've got to, whether we have to lock ourselves in the cupboard in the dark and just visualize it for as long as we can get away with, and then, you have to go out and deal with the world, or
but even
whether you can do it.
In dealing with the world, you go out there and you speak to clones, pretending they're heart-based beings, and you bring the love. and you bring it that the way you would imagine feeling and being at home, you want to bring that with you wherever you go, as much as you can, because there's work.
There's work. So imagining what it's like to have no, and this is impossible because none of us have ever known it, what it's like to have no expectations, pressures, obligations, fear. What does it feel like, even if you just do it for the first few minutes when you wake up in the morning? What does it feel like to wake up in the morning and know you are completely free, and that the day ahead of you is absolutely yours to do as you wish? To just express yourself, to just create, to just love. We've got to start, and we've got to get our, like Lulu, I think it was Lulu said, or I got a download, I can't remember now. Got to get your head around it. We've got to get our heads around what the world that we really want feels like and looks like. And the more we can do that, the more we can live in our heart space at as much as possible, the more we can feel nothing but joy and love and laughter, the closer we get. And when you're dealing with another individual, whether they are a heart source being, or whether they're a bot, or whether they're a clone, or whether they're an evil psychopath, shouldn't, well, it shouldn't change who we are.
No, but I wouldn't interact.
Yeah, sure. Maybe being the kindest thing to do for everybody concerned is to just walk away. But approaching everything and everyone with love and from the heart. It's about who you are, not about what they are.
Yeah.
It's what it...
Setting boundaries and focusing in on, honestly, the intent of what you'd want to experience at home, whether it's in a relationship. How do you want to express and see that relationship at home? Male, female, friendships, mother relationships, everything. And be disciplined about it, because challenge the construct beliefs on how things are supposed to be, how you're told they are, how relationships are supposed to be and the rules around them. Challenge them. Have a look at them. Redefine them. See if they match your heart, truly match your heart, or does your heart say something else? And then fight for the heart.
Those who know can correct me if I'm wrong, but being reactionary is coming from the R complex part of the brain, right?
To a point.
To a point?
Your neocortex can react, but you're not going to react in fight, flight.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Reactionary. That's coming from... As Carlos Castaneda said, but I was reminded of recently, they gave us their mind. Right? So, dropping into the heart every time, as often as possible. But it feels like that's time, and that's how we get where we're going. And, we're at a point too where they've upped the ante, and I still feels like they're going to continue to up the ante and meet us right until we walk out the door, so to speak.
Eli said something to me the other day. It was rather personal, but I'll share it because of what you said.
He looked at me and he said, you're going to get another 100 strikes, you know. Like, and I know what he meant, because, you know, hits to the heart before you get to level 100, but I've seen the evil man. He said, I've seen what he is. And he said, he's going to keep getting more aggressive. He's a killer. He's going to keep getting more aggressive, but you can do it and you can reach the next level, is what he said to me. It was a personal message to me only. But then on top of that, when he talks about what's coming for this construct, and he talks about the two suns merging, black hole opening in whatever time period, and we were asking him, you know, well, what are we waiting for? And he goes, oh, no, we're waiting for the new world. So I do think it's being tended and created, and I do think that there is a huge aspect to the aggression stepping up, being prepared for it, because as it loses, it's going to get more obvious. As it weakens in power, it has to step up to try and get that power back to keep going. So we're back to this sort of, it's a both merging and separating. We're back to that contradictory, supposedly contradictory kind of language and feeling where we've got timelines splitting off, things are separating and yet also merging.
Nothing static.
Never a dull moment, is there? What else was there?
Yeah, trippy's a good
Creepy, trippy. Okay, anyone got their hands up? We've got Earl's got his hand up.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Don.
Good to see you. Yeah, so over the weekend, two things happened. One, I was putting out my dog and was looking at about the sky, and the sky looked like it was purple at one point, but I only could see the sky through this cloud formation. There was like a purplish blue. I'm like, what? It should not be that color. It was like a purplish color in the sky. I'm like, that's not normal. Whatever can be passed for normal these days. And so I'm like, I look back when the sky looked blue in the lab. So I'm like, man, probably was something. A gateway or whatever the frick it was, I don't know. Then I had a dream. And it was weird because the night I was here alone, stayed up all night, went to bed in the morning, and I had this dream of seeing a pastor I know. One of his sons was in the dream, and he was dressed in military stuff. He was like saying, come on, kill me, like, and I'm like, huh? Then this other guy comes at me with a face mask, and it was like, it was repeated several times. So it was a weird one.
Yeah, very.
But I've been feeling the energetic change. Like this month just went by like boom. It just felt like two weeks and it was gone. Like that's how it felt for me. Like, I mean, I want my birthday to come, but not this fast. Like my birthday's in September. Like, come on, can we just slow it down a little, please?
I mean,
But
even
the energies are different.
yeah, even kids are noticing it. I mean, this is not just time speeds up. Get older. This is kids going, "Where's he?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Like as I've said before, Lisa, I can remember being a kid in school and the day just felt like it lasted freaking forever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, can we just get freaking school over with so I can go home and watch cartoons in the afternoon?
8 to 10 hours feels like it's 2 hours.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Elle.
You're welcome.
So, for those of you who are following all the financial stuff as well, and the accounts and Heather updates and stuff, I'll just give an update on that. She had a identity hearing because she won't sign anything, so they need to identify her. So she had that today. Today, US time. They sealed the court again. The visitors were evicted from the court. This Parker Hill character was identified as being in the courtroom. There was a projector that was set up for the prosecutor for unknown reasons. There was a movement to unseal the court due to the case in Tennessee being unsealed, and it was agreed and everyone was allowed back in. It looked like Heather had been shackled and she was unshackled. Heather is put forward that she wishes to represent herself with a standby counsel. The judge apparently looked a little bit confused and asked if Heather actually understood what that meant. He was assured she did. And a continuance was asked for. And so now there's another hearing on Friday, supposedly an unsealed one, so people can go. What else? Apparently she looks well and healthy and looking forward to Friday. And the Tennessee folks who were, I guess that's the people who they were going to come and pick her up, I think, didn't look happy. So the next round of fun and games for that is Friday. No, it was Heather's side that asked for a continuance. So, I don't know. Buying for time. Someone's buying for time, possibly. And apparently there was some confusion somewhere. I was asked if I thought that Heather was one of these Dracos that came forward with a heart, and no, that was not my impression at all at the time. I did not recognise her or her energy in amongst any of them, so no, is the answer to that. I'm not saying she doesn't have one. I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying she was not part of that small group. Okay, so does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Peter, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I do. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I just wanted to, it's synchronicity again. Always synchronicity with everything that I watch, whether it's you or John or Danny. Danny's show yesterday, we were talking about memories. You were talking about memories here. We were talking about spirit or soul. Some of the other things that I look at, quantum gravity, some of the things that I look at, all of these things are being, becoming very synchronistic to me. But I noticed something on Saturday, and it was very disturbing. So I'm at my son's house, my adopted son's house, and we're in the backyard, and we're playing guitar and singing like we like to do. And he's playing this tune, and it's just a riff. You know, what is that, Lewis? It's like, don't you remember that? Me and you wrote that years ago. I'm like, no, I don't remember it. It's like these, and then I start remembering some other things. Don't you remember playing inline hockey? No, I don't remember playing inline hockey. So it's almost like some of my good memories have been erased, and I'm just starting to get them back now. It's like I was co-opted at some point, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. But all of these things, and with the help of people like Carl and you and Danny, I'm starting to piece myself back together. But it sort of works with that quantum gravity side, where they say, you know, the past affects the future, the present, it's all the same. There is no time. And what we're talking about with memories, just everything's just becoming, everything's coming together, but everything's separating like we're talking about. I just wanted to share. Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you. Sorry. What?
Yesterday, or the day before, tracking, I know Jefferson was trying to give Aaron 2 memories. And at the time, he just got at the beginning of it. As soon as he recognised his memory, it was stopped. It was taken. And Jake's talked about something that takes your memory as well. Part of this programming, what it does do, in the Patriarch program, it does it too. It will delete a female. If female says something, deletes it. So it can block memories, it can delete things, it can stop you hearing stuff if it doesn't want you to hear it.
Well, we've all noticed that with the bots, and
I always thought it was
hear
part of the veil processing all of this, and maybe there's an aspect to that. But what I tracked yesterday was when I was tracking who's taking the memories because I was so upset. That's what I tracked it to. And I went,
you need to come here and you need to explain that more. What?
It's cold over here. All right, so been doing a lot of work tracking what appears to be like the original program of separating out the families and partners and twin flames, whatever you want to call them. And I know that Jefferson, I know this is the Deconstructing the Construct, so I don't know how much they know, but Jefferson was someone I spoke to with Leilu and then has turned up in...
He's one of the volunteers that came in from home.
One of the volunteers. Well, I know that Jefferson, I could see Jefferson trying to give him a couple of memories, and then Aaron was saying he was getting them, but as soon as he recognised it as a memory, it was stopped. And I started going, why? And I was going back to ask Jefferson, and there was nothing there. And so I tracked it back, and I found it into this program, which is connected to the Patriarch program, which literally decides for the male what memories he will have, what ones he will retain, what information he will actually hear from, especially from females, because they can say something and as soon as it goes in, it deletes it. And yet males being told, you don't listen, and no, they don't have a choice. It's literally deleted on them. And I'm starting to realise how entrenched this thing actually goes into the mind as far as how much control it has in stopping what it wants us to stop, information that we're supposed to have, but we don't. So it's really interesting that this is coming up, particularly today.
Hang on, I've got to find Peter again. Where'd he go?
Right here?
Yeah, there you are.
I wanted to add something to that because, the bad memories haven't been erased, just the good ones. It's like, I'm being programmed to be this person that I'm not the person that I believed I was for the last 10 years. When I talk to my kids about how I was when I was younger and how I was with them as children and how I interacted with them, all of those good memories were gone. And it's not until I react with them again and communicate with them again that I realize this. It's like I've been co-opted. And you know, I've been told, I was actually told just a couple of days ago that I've got to drop the anger by some of our members. And I was looking into this financial stuff. Is that, you know, that's all related as well? Because I'm starting to, you know, as I've said, I'm waking up from a dream within a dream, within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. Learning more and more and more all the time. And all of these systems are all tied together.
Yeah,
the energetics is what's always escaped me. And that's why I love you, because I watch you, because I don't understand the energetics, but I'm starting to now.
Which is why you're seeing this program in the beginning.
That's why you are able to spot it for what it is, and including the feelings. That's a huge one, because it does. It makes you feel things that you wouldn't actually feel. I've watched it operating. I've seen it happening where I could see a feeling and I know it doesn't even have that authentic vibe. It's not attached to him from his heart space. And it's not just him in his head space. I can feel the difference. So, yeah, absolutely. I want to confirm and validate that for you, that it can actually create energies and you may not have been even aware of them. But the fact that you're becoming aware, that's amazing. And thank you for putting in such self-conscious and self-observant work so you can see these things. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
This is probably something a lot of men
Peter Media, signing off.
are going to deal with. Because if it's tied to the patriarchy program, then a lot of men are going to start seeing this. Huh.
Because these men are victims. That's the one thing I want the women to start thinking about, all right? This female fighting, this, you know, fight for it because they're such assholes, you know? They were turned into that. They were programmed with that. That's not them. You've got to try, and as a female, you've got to use your heart to reach them, because you're not going to reach them in your head. You're not going to sit there. Nothing's going to happen. They are just as much a victim as we are.
My wall is speaking. My wall is speaking.
She's a ventriloquist.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think you're probably going to just help a lot of men by sharing that. And it means you are breaking through big time. Okay, anybody else got their hands up? Got anything to share? Because this is how we figure this shit out, right? As we all share. Okay, John, you're back.
Hello again.
Hello.
I had gotten pinged by the memory thing, because that was just a conversation, like he was saying, that everyone was kind of having the same conversation in a different way this week. And it was discussed on Danny's show in a different way, in the UU room in a different way. And a conversation I had been having with a friend of mine recently, in the past, I would say 2 weeks, is that if I had energetically read myself a few years ago, I might have thought I was a bot, based on my behavior, based on my interests, based on a lot of different things. I don't feel an energetic connection to those things, and the memories that are there, it's like, one thing that he pointed out, the trauma-related memories are the easiest ones to access. They are triggered and they come right back to the front for everybody, I think, easily. It takes nothing to bring those back. Aside from that, it's like I have had plenty of moments where I'm sitting around the table with my friends and they're talking about great times, and it's just, it feels like I wasn't present for it. It's kind of bizarre. I was thinking, oh, maybe it happened on an alternate timeline. I don't really know how this kind of wakes out. But the other aspect of that is that we are in the now moment, and how memory works and things like that and how it's accessed, I don't really know if we know how it genuinely works. But this trauma-related loop that we recognize we're caught in is very easily accessed. And another piece that kept coming up on a lot of different shows, it had started with Og putting out a video, and then it was mentioned in a couple different ways, was that thing he went into about this device that prints time and this, that, the other, and he made it sound like, you know, like an alien technology that was very nefarious and evil. But what I felt like it was back in the original construct when we had access to everything, and you could choose your timeline, choose your avatar, choose all of that. This would have been the device that managed that. Because this isn't just magic. It didn't just happen. There's always a mechanism behind everything. But obviously that could have very easily have been co-opted, and that's kind of what we're dealing with now. But one thing that he had mentioned is he was like, you know, as you get closer to it, you begin to see all these different timelines, and people, when they get too close to it, they die because it's so scary. But what have we been seeing but timelines just colliding constantly? So that would signal to me that we must be getting pretty fucking close to it. But what he also said, which I agreed with, was that the beginning of the game is the end of the game as well, and that those are one kind of simultaneous now moment. Whether you want to call this a game or a simulation or anything, but it's like when time finally does collapse, because it's not genuine, it won't have happened possibly. Who knows how that would play out, but it's like that is a potential reality. But in the same respect, it's like, it does kind of feel like maybe we're leading up to that mirror of when the invasion would have started, except it's going to play out differently. It's going to be the opposite of what that was energetically. But it will kind of be a full circle kind of moment. Because that would make sense. If it's going to collapse in on itself, it just has to all kind of pancake into this one moment. So there's the scary realm of it. It's like, okay, maybe you were a bot or you were co-opted, or it's something absolutely terrifying, or it's this other side where it's like our quantum reality is literally collapsing, but it's all good because we're moving towards this integrated now moment, and there's no way to visualize what that could possibly be. But it's like, it's happening. Mandela effects constantly in terms of history changes because there's multiple timelines sitting side by side. You're driving down the parkway and you see a car beside you that's merging, so you look and then boom, it's gone. And it's that every single day, those different things playing out in little nuanced ways. And I think it's evident of that we're getting closer to that generation point. So I don't know, I just wanted to put that out there.
Don't know what you did, but now I've got a bunch of hands up. Thank you. Still have the feeling that when this thing's going to blow, right? And it also reminds me of the recent message from Lilo, which I don't know if we've shared at all. So I'll have to get into that a little bit, just a little bit. JJ. Yes, you might.
Yes. Let me turn my speakers down. Memory thing. I can't remember my past for squat. I mean, just nothing. Back to my childhood and stuff, I'm constantly amazed when my brothers tell me, "Do you remember this time?" And I go, "Huh?" I mean, it seems like my entire life has been one of taking the broom and sweeping the tracks in the dirt and the dust and the trail behind you, so you can't tell where you came from, kind of a deal. There's no direct link to some of the old past behaviors and stuff. I mean, when someone mentions a particular circumstance or situation or whatever happened, I go, "Oh yeah, that did happen." But trying to recall it, trying to just say, "Oh yeah, this is part of my past" or whatever, blank slate, just nothing. And it's just been that way on my entire life, and it's just sort of part of the background for me. So I don't really put much, I won't say stock, because I don't have much stock to put into it. It's just there's nothing there. But at the same time, it's like in certain circumstances, their description. Hang on, let me ease my dog's barking. Hang on. Thank you. I'll be a good dog. Sorry about that. The idea is that memories are, well, one of the functions of the brain is to erase old memories. Cannabis is sort of an enabler of that to a certain extent. Otherwise, we'd be swamped with all of the memories and it'd just be overpowering. And it doesn't surprise me at all that that whole code or engram or however you want to look at it of selective memory erasure or non ability to not be able to recall them, whatever, is built into this construct. Yeah, I mean, I've seen examples of it, but memories are very fleeting for me anyway. I mean, they're easily changed, so it's hard to know whether the memory is something that actually happened, or maybe it's sort of an idealized version, or if it's something like along the lines of, what they remember, and I'll sort of tailor my recollection of it based on their recollection. It's all a jumble. And it's been that way for a long time for me. Just an observation. Thanks.
Thank you. Vivek.
Morning, Lisa.
Morning.
I had a very weird dream experience yesterday morning. It was two dreams, one after the other. In the first dream, it was a war-torn scenario. It was as though Singapore was allowed to be invaded, by invasionary forces. And what was interesting is that in that dream, I saw the very first Prime Minister of Singapore walking around and, trying to talk to people and yada, yada, yada. But I also noticed that it was not him. It was someone else wearing a mask that looked like him walking around, trying to mimic the guy. And then later on, the mask was ripped off, and I went chasing after the imposter. But before that happened, I remembered it was quite a traumatic scenario in which there were heavy machinery coming through, and rocks flying all over, ammunition flying all over, me cowering behind a van and taking shelter, and I'm like, give me a gun, looking around, and there are no guns. So, and then that takes me to the with my mom and my aunt, and we're all crying, and because we're going to be ripped apart. My mom has to go with my aunt to Malaysia, and I'm telling her, and my mom was like, this is my fate, I have to do this. I said, look, your fate is in your hands. You have the power to change it. And then I can't remember what she said. And then I woke up. And I looked at the clock and I was like, okay, fine, I've only slept for about an hour, went back to sleep, and had another dream in my childhood home. But I'm an adult. Somehow or another, we were being forced to move into back into my childhood home, which is just across the street from me. And I was like, I never realized that this was here. I never realized that was there. And that went on for a little while. I remember feeling really shitty inside, having had to move back into that home because there was a lot of traumatic experiences from that home. And then I woke up again. So, pretty interesting couple of dreams. It was like the unveiling, the unmasking, looking at the unrest that is present around me, around others as well as looking at where I need to go to heal that, to take care of that. At least that's the only thing I'm getting, because the two dreams put together was quite traumatic. I've not been able to interpret anything else from there, but I thought I should share it with everyone here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it sounds like it may just be a direct extension of the work that was done last week with the members. But we'll think about that one. Thank you, Vivek. What was I going to say, though? Oh, Lilo message, right. Okay, I'm just going to share bits of it, but she said, do you remember what I said? Now, as you know, when you've heard her come through on the computer, it's, you know, computerized voice and punctuation and stuff isn't clear. And I've had to play with this a little bit to see where the commas should go, because they can completely change the meaning of the message. So where I think I'm at with this is, do you remember what I said? Before God is the creation of thought, meaning we are experiencing the time of God's creation. Once a body, we need to remember that part. Where that came in. We are experiencing the time of God's creation that has never been created, like an endless time loop, as time is never experienced. Therefore, we are living in a creation that has never existed through the thought of the experiencing of God. It's kind of a convoluted sentence. Okay, so this is a big story, and it comes from a lot of different pieces, from different places and people. One is a memory of, at the time of the invasion, we had, prior to the invasion, in the original construct, we manifested. Thought forms did become physical. That's how we created. One of the first things the virus did when it hit was sever our connection and our manifestation and creative ability. So just at the moment of the invasion, there was an attempt to create, to manifest and literally create a being that could deal with the invasion. But it only got so far. It became a thought form, fueled and with the intention of being somewhat omnipotent, because it was going to be powerful enough to deal with what was happening. But the creation didn't get too complete and become a physical being, so it's remained a thought form. That's one thing, one aspect of this. And that thought form, created with the original intent of omnipotence, believed in its own omnipotence, and became what we now consider God, the Yahweh character, the beast, in my beast vision. We've had, where did this piece come in recently about a body?
Oh.
Wanting a body. Oh, Louder. Well, there's a woman called Louder who does YouTube videos, which you guys probably, some of you might know of. Yes, Inside the Construct. She came in, and this is just one piece, one verifying piece, that there is this being who is trying to create a body. At the moment, it's only in thought form. But that was one piece. There was many more about this this character wanting to be manifest, wanting to be physical. It goes back to, again, that beast vision that I had in 2013. The beast will choke on its own creation. I don't know how to put all this together in a coherent story right now. As I think JJ or someone just said, that there was technology that was part of the original construct. I don't think any of the technology was brought in from outside after the invasion. It's just that everything that was in here was infected and co-opted. That's my feeling on it. So everything that people see, the spiders, the jellyfish, and the pieces of mechanical technology, I think we're all part of it. They all had a role in the original, but then we're all inverted and infected and distorted. One of those things, and people have seen these, many people have seen these, is the spiders, the energetic spiders. If this, because we're dealing with a lot of things on a lot of fronts. This is separate to the Dracos. This is separate to the reptilians. This is separate to the programs. This is separate. There's so much going on here. But if one of the things that we are dealing with is this being that essentially is a thought form that is seeking to become physical, it looks like it may have achieved that to a point. Enough of a point where it can be harmed. It can be taken out. As long as it remained a thought form, it was actually a hell of a lot harder for us to deal with. But as it becomes material, it gives us something to work with.
It's harvested enough energy to become an energetic form. It doesn't have a heart yet. There's not a thought form either.
It's not going to have a heart.
Like
it's never going to have a heart.
Form, and once it's in the energies, we can actually deal with it.
Oh, and what I meant to mention back when we were talking about soul was, how does that Lord's Prayer go? If I die before I wake.
No, if I die before I wake, I pray thee, Lord,
I pray the Lord my soul to take. We are programming children to give consent from the get-go.
That's what all religion is. Give thy will to Jesus and all that. Like everything is give thy will. Give thyself.
To go back into the rinse and repeat. And I bet there's a version of that prayer in every religion.
Eli, do you want to mention what Eli said?
About what?
About God. The other day, sitting on the ground in the gym.
Yeah, you come and tell it, because I wasn't there.
No, I'll prompt you, but
what was I going to say? Okay. Again, like I said, we're dealing with a whole bunch of different energies, entities, beings, thought forms, and God knows what, that are all playing a part in this. But you need to come and share that, because I wasn't there.
Okay, so me, Jenny,
we're sitting out on the deck in the morning, and Eli comes out and he starts talking about what's going to happen to this construct as we know it in time. So he's tracking it. And then, as I said, it was the new world. But after that, he's sitting there, he went quiet, and then he comes out with, if God was killed.
No.
No?
No, God, because of God, we die and then we're angels.
Because of God, we die and then we're angels.
All we can be is angels.
All we can be is angels. That's
Yeah.
right.
And he said, God, if God was killed, then anybody could be God. You could be God, Jenny could be God, we could all be gods. However, this God, he said, is trapped in, he's up somewhere where you can't get him. He's trying to make himself, he said, he's just thought, Mum. He's just thought. And he goes, but while he is thought, then none of us can have our full power because he's taking it. He's using it. That's when he went on about what we should do about it, which I don't think I should say right now because I do think some people are mavericks and will just go, oh, and we've already got evidence that won't work. So he has given us some information on what we can do about it. But it was just interesting because he's always been about, like, you know, there was two gods and one was a good one and one was a bad one. But and he always thought that they were like, I don't know, God. But he's now for the first time starting to tell me that this God can be killed and is the reason why we do not have our full power because he's been taking it.
That's why he kills us and makes us angels.
How does that sit with everyone?
If I might.
Yep.
Turn the speakers down. I've long had the notion that God is everything, literally everything, both physical, energetic, I mean, all of that. But the thing is above the material, in other words, into the faster than light realm, which basically one of the consequences of that energetic presence is it slows down. The speed turns into spin, and then that spin gets faster and faster and faster. That becomes materiality, and so therefore you get stuff, just the stuff that we're very familiar with down here in 3D. But all of this is what kind of the way I look at it as being the body of God. In other words, he's in everything. Everything is him. It's like there's no, I can't say separation, but at the same time, everything that is and everything that isn't is all part of the same construct, which we use the term God. I mean, it's overused and has all these other connotations and can be misconstrued, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is the greater reality, and that doesn't even really come close to it, but the greater reality encompasses everything. And that's another way of saying God, everything. So we are creators because we're a fragment of God, which is kind of obvious to, I assume, everyone here. But the idea is that we are performing the function, every one of us, all of us, are performing the functions of what God needs in order to do what he needs to do, which is know himself. I mean, that's, from what I can glean, the point of all this. Know thyself. He's just as involved in that as all of us are, perhaps more so, because he's got everything. So I guess a way of condensing this down is everything that we are and more, everything that exists and more, everything that we can conceive of, whether it's thought, physicality, material, energetic, whatever, it's all part of that same unfolding and coming to know that which is. So the thing is that, you know, the Lord's Prayer talking about, you know, the Lord will take my soul. That's not God. It's just not. and the God that is in religion is not the God. And I'm not sure how I could describe what God is, other than to say it's everything, which is kind of nebulous. But
okay, well, just to clarify, when I say the word God, I am referring to the biblical God, and I'm referring to the Yahweh, Yaldabaoth, vengeful character. I'm not talking about the source of the essence that we are. That's not what I'm talking about from outside the construct. I'm talking about
that's a source of big confusion for a lot of people is the definition of terms. I mean, any religionist, basically God is, the Bible, period, or the Quran, or whatever holy book you want to latch onto. The thing is that's co-opted, just like everything else down here. So it's corrupted, basically.
Corrupted. Well, everything's corrupted.
Polluted, but it doesn't mean there's no disclosure of truth in it.
How do I try and put into words?
Well, I wanted to make a comment just about the corrupted energy, so I just wanted to ping in. When we started talking in the beginning about authentic versus inauthentic energy, one of the things that came up was, for example, the sea. So the sea has its own authentic primordial energy, but there's been bastardized thought forms that have kind of been superimposed over that gods that represent war, that represent, all different lower level vibrational things that have been superimposed over the sea, but are nothing but thought forms that have been given power, that at the end of the day feed this beast. And the thought form has, a million different faces and represents everything, but at the end of the day, there are those authentic primordial energies that have just kind of been superimposed. So yeah, when you say God, it's not actually source. It has nothing to do with source. It's just a thought form, a deity. So I don't know if that helps at all, but
yes, it does. As you always do. I see it as the beast in that beast vision. That's what it is. It's the thing that's sitting up the top and harvesting all of the energy and blocking it from going where it should be going, which is to source. It's chewing it all up. And I think right now it is choking on its own creation, and its creation are all of these programs, these other thought forms that it's created. It's big. Earl, have you got your hand up again, or is that still?
Yeah, so I'm pretty up because you were talking about the memories. Now, for me, bad memories are the opposite. Like, for me, I don't really have them. Like, I feel more free, right? The memories I do find are the odd and weird ones that just stick out, and it's like, yeah. And I feel good that I don't have, like, the memories that of, the darker times in my childhood, that I don't
I remember
have.
yesterday.
What about yesterday? I mean, with the dream and all that, yeah, the dream is different, though. It's new and fresh. I'm talking about way past stuff. It's like, and I feel good about this journey, I want to get to the next place, and I know I'll make it.
Yeah. I feel very good about it and very positive, and I know we've,
I find that sad because when I hear Danny talk about how she doesn't, I don't consent. And I'm laughing inside because I see her being the one, the first one in the back. You know that one kid in the back of the class who stands up, goes, oh, me, I'll do it. I'll clean the erasers on the chalkboard. That kid. I see her as being that person, before, she says, well, I didn't consent to coming. I'm like, yeah, you kind of did. Anyway, yeah, that's, to me, be in the journey, Yeah, it's gonna get crazy. Yeah, it's gonna get bumpy, but you know what? You ain't new when you came in. Then we're gonna be one of those that made it.
I think there's a lot more, there's a lot more volunteers here than we originally thought, and there's the people who have always felt like this was just a stop off on the journey. This was not the be all and end all. It's not the final destination. It's not, and it's going to be uncomfortable because it doesn't quite fit.
Yeah.
I think most of us are in that boat, really.
I mean, look how crazy things got. I mean, our reality shifts and all that. I mean, mass changes. I mean, China just changed again there, like it's shaping whatever its position. I mean, yeah. So live in the moment, people. Just live in the moment because we only got a short amount of time left. Then we all get to go home wherever and wherever that is. That's the way I see it, I have my own vision of home, and it's very futuristic. Anyway,
fairy wings, dragon wings, I don't know. Any of them will do. Thank you, Elle.
Hey, Lisa, I don't know how to put my hand up.
Hi, Jane.
Hey, I don't know how to put my hand up. Sorry. Is it okay? Okay. I was going to say, I remember my childhood vividly, which I find kind of strange because I remember there's so many memories that are so clear to me and probably shouldn't be. But what was the other thing I was going to say?
Good
what?
Good memories?
Good and bad. Yeah. And sometimes they're so vivid that it kind of just zaps me and takes me back to that moment. Not that I dwell on my childhood or past memories, but when I go there, they're pretty vivid. And an old friend sent a picture the other day of the two of us when we were childhood girlfriends, and we found each other on Facebook, of course. And I noticed in the picture she had a big smile on her face, and I had a serious look on mine as I looked into the camera. And whoever took the picture took the picture. And I wondered what was going on in my head that day because my childhood was pretty dramatic. There were 8 kids in our family. Mom and Dad always stayed together, all those years and raised us kids and did what they could. But we would have been considered in the U.S. like a middle-class family, But yeah, I do. I remember my childhood so well. And I was going to say something else, too, about the re-looping, and I kind of lost it. If I think of it, I might pipe back in. Re-looping, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's a good question to ask everyone. Is everyone feeling like they're still going through 2013 or 14, or have you moved on? Hell yeah, okay. Couple have moved on, still there, moved way beyond, all over the place. Okay. Is that what you meant, Jane? Like you've got.
No, not necessarily. I was just bringing up the fact that I remember my childhood, because you guys were talking about you can't remember.
Yeah, I'm in the can't remember group. I mean, people would have to literally bring stories up, and I'd have to think about it. I got nothing. Okay, Rosanna.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes, darling.
I've never talked on here before, so I'm a little nervous.
Well, welcome.
Hi. So today I forgot for about 30 seconds my mom passed. It was weird. Yeah.
Sorry,
so I was at a restaurant and
your mom
at lunch. 3 months ago.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, you said she passed 30 seconds ago, and I was like, what? What are you doing on this call?
Oh, no. Then I wouldn't be talking to you.
No.
So it's been about 3 months, and I was in a restaurant, and it was during lunch, and I used to call her all the time because she had health issues. So it was just normal. I picked up the phone, and then I started to dial, and I still have the phone number on there, and it's starting to go, and then it hit me that she isn't here.
Yep.
And yeah, that kind of took me for a loop the past couple hours. But
that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon after someone passed. I did that myself when my dad died for probably even up to a year or more. There would be a moment something would happen and you'd go, I just need to ask. Oh, no, I don't. Well, that's not uncommon.
My brain is also like a jellyfish. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't remember a lot from my childhood. The stuff that I remember is usually around death. So, like any traumatic memories is the ones that I remember.
Yeah, well,
but yeah,
value those ones.
I don't remember a lot. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
That quantum healing video that I mentioned, she said that there are already people there in the new, and that some of those who have passed recently have passed for that reason, to go there in order to help prepare it for the first wave. Whether that brings you any comfort about
I'm
where
back.
you might be.
It felt like I was sending her there. Yeah. Because, okay, so she died April 24th, and I believe that was approximately the day that you guys were talking about, the opening to the new place.
Oh.
And the day before, she was talking that she wasn't ready and she was not able to leave yet. And it felt like she has to wait.
Really?
So, and it felt like I was pushing her there because it wasn't safe for her here anymore. And I couldn't do what I needed to do with her here. So, yeah.
Jenny's in the background here and she understands completely. Same situation with her mum.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm done now.
Mm-hmm.
Running away.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Just tell her to trust that she's going to do some awesome work, that her mum will be working right alongside her.
Do you actually, when you're dreaming, do you dream of work and mum's there with you?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I have a lot of really wild dreams. When I can remember them. But yeah. I feel like the stuff that you guys are doing, and I'm not in your group. You know what I mean? Because I don't pay for the site. But a lot of stuff you'll talk about, it feels like I'm doing it at the same time in my dreams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I know that there's, there's a couple of hundred people there in that site participating and playing all together in real time, but it's a fraction of the people that we are connected to and doing the work with together, and that's one group of many. But never a dull moment, I have to say. Work doesn't stop. So, but anyway, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. And we're now, time's up, actually. So, unless there's anybody who has something, last comments before we go. Vivek, your hand's up, but I don't know if it's still up again or up again. Sorry, still up or up again. No, nothing there. Okay. Well, I will see the members tomorrow. We have some work to do, as always. So see you soon, and see everybody else again next week. And love to all. And
see you in the dining car on the crazy train next week.
Spend as much time as you can, as if we're already there. Okay. Bye for now.